Here are my 2 points. 1,
if you're buying,
and number 2,
if you're selling, if you're not quite sure where to start.
Thank you for doing a good job as always, and your analysis is spot on.
Talk to Dan Gemus and his team. Find them at dangemus.com. And now, filling in for Dan Gemus, your host, Joyce Blackmere.
Welcome back to the show and happy Sunday. I'm Joyce Blackmere, Director of Sales and Broker with the Dan Gemus Real Estate Team. And with me in studio is Heather Marentet, Sales Rep with the team. Hi, Heather, and happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you. Hello and good afternoon.
Before we move into the emotional stages of buying a house, I should also mention that we are giving away a $50 gift card to the Richmond Popcorn Company a little later on in the show. If you would like to be eligible for that, please text the keyword movie with your first and last name to 10800, and we will do that draw a little bit later on in the show. So, Heather, we're looking at the emotional stages, the good, the bad, the ugly, when it comes
all of
to,
them.
they're all there, when it comes to buying a home. So I want to work through this list, and maybe you can throw in some examples as well that with interactions you've had with some of your clients, and maybe you have some different opinions also that we can add to the list. So the first one on the list, again, it's the emotional stages of buying a home. The first one is uncertainty, deciding whether or not you're ready. So buying a house is a big decision, and you might feel confused and indecisive as you assess your current financial situation and try to work through whether or not the time is right. It is a really big choice. Definitely it's going to come with some self-doubt, definitely some number crunching and thinking about what you want your life to look like, so that you can figure out what's going to be the best choice for you. Home buyers can grow their confidence by familiarizing themselves with all of the steps involved with the home buying process. And in fact, that's something that we do in our buyer consultations, right? It's that step-by-step approach that we guide the buyers through, first-time buyers or seasoned buyers as well, because it changes from time to time. An example that I'll give is my husband and I just bought a rental property last year, and I couldn't believe the amount of paperwork that we had to provide the lender compared to when we bought our first house.
Okay.
Like the first house was like, can you spell your name? Yes, perfect, you qualify. But this time,
It's a little different.
Holy, it was a lot. And thankfully, I'm relatively organized that I was able to collect all of that information. But it really was. It was. That
can be stressful to try to gather everything.
Yes,
and
stay
find
organized.
it.
Best tip: keep your NOAs available. Keep all your bank stuff available. Know where your documentation is at. Number 2, apprehension, preparing to talk to an agent. There's a lot of buyers that don't want to talk to an agent or quote unquote I've heard it a lot. I know you have too. Don't want to bother an agent because they're just not ready. But the reality is you don't necessarily know if you're ready until you've had the opportunity to speak to an agent. Or a mortgage, well, hopefully a lender.
Right. Yeah, you definitely want to talk to somebody because you might think that you're looking at homes in your price category when, maybe the market's behaving in a way where things are selling over that asking price, right? You want to know what you're looking at. You want to know which homes do fit within your budget. You want somebody to help give you a take on different things like the area that you're looking to purchase. A lot of different perspectives are provided when you're talking to somebody. So it's definitely useful to reach out to somebody early on, like as early as possible.
Yeah, even if it's just the information collection phase of your search, because we know that a lot of people start, 6 months or a year in advance, and that's fantastic. That's great. That gives you an idea of what's happening. You can follow the trends and the numbers and the areas, and that's good. And then if you have somebody there, when you are ready to make that move, you can just reach out to them and you have that relationship established and hopefully the trust with that person, or at least some level of trust and rapport to help you through
and questions pop up all the time, so it's nice to just have somebody that you can just call or text or email quickly to get your questions answered.
Yep, for sure. Next one is eager. Searching for a new home can be a fun and exciting process filled with lots of options and opportunities to explore what you like, what you don't, gathering ideas, and looking online. You might experience some optimism, amazement. You may even be in awe. You go into an open house, for example, and you fall in love. You see things that pique your interest. And Heather, like, you have an example right now. You had some clients go through an open house and they really liked what they saw.
Yeah, absolutely. They loved what they saw. But and that's fantastic. I want people to feel excited when they want to, make an offer on a property. I want them to feel that eagerness. But it's important that maybe they have somebody go with them. Like I will be I go with them to the houses, and what I'm there for is to help be a little bit more analytical. I'm looking at things that maybe they're not looking at. They're looking at, can they envision themselves there, furniture placement. They're really getting a good feel for the house, which is important. But I may be looking at things a little bit differently in terms of maybe some red flags or some pros and cons. So it's important to have somebody there doing the analytical part as well, being, scrutinizing maybe a little bit more.
Absolutely.
But the eagerness is important. You want them to have that. You want them to be excited.
Absolutely. It's an exciting time after all. I'm going to combine a couple of these in the article. I feel like drained is an emotional state that some buyers go through.
For sure.
Potentially from the disappointment of losing out on offers, right? Yep. We're seeing multiple offers come back in some of the price categories. Even though we're seeing multiple offers, though, some of those offers, a percentage, I would say, I don't know if it's 50-50, maybe a little less, are coming in with conditions, though, which is nice to see. And
it's really nice to see.
Not all of them, but some of them are also being accepted with conditions as well. So the due diligence process is having an opportunity to be met. How about elated? When they finally get that offer accepted. I don't know about you, but that's my favorite. It's my favorite time is when your buyers just find that perfect one.
Yes.
And, sometimes they do lose out a couple of times in multiples, but then when they finally get that home and the excitement and the screech on the other end of the phone when you're talking to them, that's
makes it all worth it.
Very rewarding.
Yeah, because sometimes you feel like, or they feel like they're getting beat up a little bit, right? Time after time, if they're putting in offers and they're just not getting it. But when they finally do hit and they get that house, it's a really awesome feeling, and it's so much fun to be a part of.
Yes. Now let's talk a little bit about maybe you have a conditionally accepted offer, a condition on financing and inspection, perhaps. There's a little bit of fear involved in that. Buyers find the house that they think they want, and they have the inspection, and I think they have nerves, right? Did we do the right thing? Is this house going to pass? Is it going to meet our standards and criteria?
Right.
And the home inspection is a super important part of the process to make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck. So the fear, I get it. It should be there. But if it's not the right house, you should also know that too, because there'd be a disappointment element if you bought a home condition free and found out that there were
better to know early on.
Exactly. Anxiety is another one.
Lots of that.
Waiting for your financing approval to come through, waiting for the closing process, going through the packing and the moving. It's a pretty heightened state. I think it's one of the biggest ordeals next to maybe marriage and childbirth.
Especially if you're doing two at once. So if you're selling at the same time as you're buying, and you're trying to line up dates, and you're shuffling from one house to the next, I think that is a very anxiety producing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I guess the last one that I'll end with is pride, getting the keys to your new house. Everybody loves that moment when you have that chance to go in, you walk in, your first
Take a deep
steps.
breath.
Yeah, and this is mine.
Yeah.
So that's exciting, and we love to be a part of that. Of course, it's such a huge feeling of accomplishment, and it takes all of that overwhelm that you felt leading into it, and makes it all worthwhile once it all falls into place. So again, if you have any questions about the home buying or selling process, you can reach out to our team 7 days a week, 519-566-5565. You can also find us online at dangemus.com. Now we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we have Chris Gibb giving an insurance tip, and he's going to talk to us about what's insurable, what's not, at what price. There's some pretty interesting things that we've come across over the years, and I think that this will be a really great tip. So we have a lot more to come here on the Dan Gemus Real Estate Show. Stay tuned.